So if you're new to photography, you might be wondering which one is right for me. Should I use Photoshop or should I use Lightroom? In this video, I'm going to talk about Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom Classic. I'd like to share with you my thoughts on whether you should be using either Photoshop, Lightroom, both, or something different. Let's get started. Hello, I'm Charles. Welcome to the channel. If you are into Photoshop, Lightroom, and photography, and even a little video and video editing, please consider subscribing and click that bell notification so that you're notified when we release brand new content every week. So this is a quick overview of the Lightroom interface. With the library module, we have panels on either side with our area right in the middle where we can show a view of our photos. This happens to be a grid view of the photos. But on the left-hand side of the panel, you can organize your photos in folders any way that you want to organize. Mine organized by year and by date of photo shoot. You have collections that you could create. They are like a group of photos that you have organized, and you might want to share these with Lightroom Mobile. On the right hand side, you can actually make small adjustments to your photo. You can do white balance, other tonal control adjustments like exposure, clarity, vibrance. You can enter keywords about the photo, and you can find out metadata down here about the photo information like exposure, focal length, ISO. And here at the bottom, you can show different views of your photo here. You can show photo one at a time or a grid view. You can rate your photos so that you can sort them later. And you have this film strip down here, which gives you a overall view of all of your photos. And so the idea of the library module is so that you can organize and select your best images. Now over to the development module. And over here on the left, you have all these presets that you can change and see how they affect your image. And you can get custom presets or you can make your own. And down here you have an area which is actually the history, the edit history of, say, this particular photo right here. In the right hand panel of the development module, you have your basic color adjustments and a lot of other color adjustments that you can use with Lightroom. HSL color, split toning, lens correction, and you have other options up here. You have a map module, you can make a slideshow, you can set up your photos for print. So this is a quick overview of the Lightroom interface. Most beginning photographers will probably prefer the layout of Lightroom. It presents all of your main editing tools in an easy to find column, and it's pretty intuitive to figure out. In Photoshop, you have to do a little bit more customization to set up your workstation exactly how you want it. This leads to more flexibility, meaning you can further customize what tools you choose to appear. So here's the Photoshop interface. On your left-hand side is all your tools, and you can customize this toolbar here to add or remove tools as you see fit. And as you click on any of the tools, there's a menu at the top with other features of that tool. And on the right-hand side, you have a view of the image. You can adjust this view. You have all your adjustment layers right here. Your libraries, these are libraries that are synced up with Creative Cloud, and these assets here can be viewed across other tools in the Adobe suite. And here's your layers panel where Photoshop is actually built on layers, and we'll go over that in a little bit here. And down here at the bottom, there's additional ways that you can get to your adjustment layers and make new layers, delete layers, add layer masks. And you have a window menu here where you can add more of Photoshop's tools to the tool panel here on the right. This tool panel right here, you can add more windows and more tools related to Photoshop there. You can change the workspace. This happens to be the photography workspace. You can go to 3D, motion, painting, graphic, and web. So you have all these different workspaces that you can customize, and you can actually create your own workspace and save it so that you can work with Photoshop that way. And of course, here is all the menu options, all the filters for blurs, and all the different ways that you can make selections in Photoshop. So that's a basic overview of the Photoshop interface. So another feature of Lightroom is that it will process raw images. Some cameras will let you shoot in RAW and JPEG. When you import into Lightroom, you can see up here this file name. It has a .ar extension, and that is because it is a RAW file straight from a Sony camera. And I have a video on how to import and export photos into Lightroom. I'll put that in a card above. Now in Photoshop, if I open a RAW file, this is what happens. So it opens up an interface called Adobe Camera Raw. And I have a video I'm going to put in a card. It explains Adobe Camera Raw in detail. But notice over here on the right, you have all these controls to adjust your color, contrast, and things like that. This is very similar to what you use when you're in Lightroom. So this is an extra step that when you're trying to edit a RAW file that you have to go through to get it into Photoshop. And again, here is the similar interface over here on the right to make those same adjustments that you saw in Adobe Camera Raw, and you can do those same ones in Lightroom. So another good feature of Lightroom is it is a non-destructive editor. So Adobe Lightroom is a non-destructive photo editor, which means it doesn't permanently alter your original image file. So if I'm in Lightroom and I make a change, say I make a change to the exposure on this photo, just a slight change. If I go in the file system and look at it, the file name and the extension is intact. It didn't touch it. Photoshop, on the other hand, is a destructive editor. As you may guess, destructive editors apply edits directly to the original image files. If I open up that same file in Photoshop, remember this is what I was saying, that it comes into Adobe Camera Raw. If I increase the exposure here and say open object, it's going to open it in Photoshop. Once I do that, the same file, if I go to close the file, it's going to ask me to save it. So see, it changed it, and it's going to ask me to save it on the file system. So that's one thing that you will know, that your files are, or your original files, are pretty safe in Lightroom. As long as you know what you're doing, even in Photoshop, this is one way to keep your photos safe. Use them in Lightroom maybe first, and then bring them into Photoshop. One key feature in Photoshop is the layer. In the layer, as you can see over here on the right hand side, this is the layers panel, but all these layers contain adjustments. They can contain layers with objects, other photos, and they all combine to equal the photo you see on the screen. But Lightroom doesn't have that. So when I said layers are what Photoshop is built on, I meant these are what Photoshop uses to construct images and apply adjustments to images. And so it's an advanced feature, but very necessary. And once you get the hang of it, you'll really be amazed at what you can do with Photoshop. And I have a link in the card for a video on layers and layer masks. Now, a powerful feature of Lightroom is the Lightroom catalog. The Lightroom catalog keeps track of changes related to a photo. In particular, if you look over here on the lower left, there is a panel called History, and this is the edit history of this particular image, and every bit of information or every change related to this photo is stored in the Lightroom catalog on your hard drive. So that is a very powerful feature that keeps track of where your photos are at and all the changes that are made to it in Lightroom. Now, Photoshop doesn't have that feature. It has a history panel, like up here at the top, but all these layers here are actually, or different changes that this photo has gone through. You must save this photo to your hard drive with all this information, all the layers, in a TIFF format or a PSD format. That's a Photoshop file format. So that's how Photoshop maintains any kind of an edit history on a photo. So it's saved on your hard drive in the individual file, not in any kind of catalog. So one of the biggest features of Lightroom is the ability to bulk edit. Part of the workflow in Lightroom, you have the film strip so that you can edit multiple photos at the same time. So if I make a change to this first photo and say I change exposure, contrast, and shadows, I can highlight all the rest of the images in the film strip and click on the sync button. And this dialog pops up and I can click everything here that I changed and that I want to sync across all these photos. And I could say synchronize, and that will make those same changes across all those photos. In Photoshop, you can't do that. You can bring in a lot of photos at the same time. Like in this case, I brought in all these photos here on the right, but they came in as layers. But you can't apply one adjustment to all of these layers at the same time. You can also open up more than one photo as a tab in this interface, but you still can't apply the same edit to all of the photos at the same time. And one of the main reasons I think you should use Lightroom is its ability to do organization. So here in the library module, it allows you to view, rate, and sort photos. When you create collections, it'll help you to organize photos without moving them around physically. So as we pointed out before in the library module overview, I can see this whole film strip at this grid view glance. And down here, I can rate any of these photos with the rating system and sort and add metadata to keywords to each of the photos and organize all my photos in one place. So this is one of the main reasons to use Lightroom. Even if you want to use Photoshop with it, use Lightroom to store all your photos in the catalog and keep track of everything. So Adobe Lightroom has all these basic editing controls right here. You can get advanced editing with the HSL color panel or split toning, endless possibilities. But if you just need to come in and edit a photo and make adjustments like these here, then Lightroom is the tool for you. You may never need to use Photoshop. If you're planning with your photography just to do basic edits, then Lightroom is a good tool. You can see all the basic editing controls you have here available to you. And there's some further down that are a little bit more advanced. Now, Photoshop's editing is done by adding adjustment layers here in the layers panel. Or you can also utilize the Camera Raw filter and make adjustments very similar to how you would do this in Lightroom. Photoshop has a really advanced capability and something that you can't do in Lightroom, and that is creating composites. So this is a composite here. This is the original image, and as I add layers, you can see that I am slowly changing and building this composite, and this is what Photoshop is really good at. So you can really take advantage of some of these advanced features in Photoshop. So this image started out in Lightroom and it ended up in Photoshop as a composite. And after you're done editing your images in Lightroom, you can share a lot of your images to other platforms. Like for instance, right here you have something here on the lower left. It's called Publish Services. You can publish your images to Adobe Stock, to Facebook, SmugMug, and you can set that up here within the library module. These collections here, you can create them. You can share these collections with Lightroom Mobile. You have also the opportunity to use the web module here in Lightroom and create a web gallery and share that. You can't transfer files, organize your photos, or share them directly to your favorite networking platforms in Photoshop. One of the key features in Photoshop is its ability to share assets across other platforms or other Adobe products. In this case, here's a library of icons. Now I can share that across Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Lightroom won't let you do that, but you can in Photoshop. So which one should you use? If you want to edit your photos with an easy-to-use interface and you only want to make basic adjustments most of the time, use Lightroom. You have all the built-in photo organization and photo sharing right at your fingertips. If you want to take your editing further using Photoshop's advanced tools like selections, layer masks, adjustment layers, and filters, use Photoshop. What it really comes down to is both tools should be used together. They complement each other. Having them both in your toolbox will help you be a better photographer and artist. So now the question of the day. Which one are you going to use? Photoshop, Lightroom, or both? Let me know in the comments below. If this video was helpful, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. If you want more short tutorials, see the ones above. And remember, it's never too late to learn. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.